The Commission, last February, in fulfillment of its G20 commitments, put forward this proposal on the recovery and resolution of central counterparties. And why did we do that? Well, because after the introduction of the mandatory central clearing requirement, it became obvious that CCPs became critical nodes in our financial system. Therefore, even though it's extremely unlikely, as also Dr. Huertas mentioned, still we should be prepared for the unthinkable. The Commission proposal complements the supervisory framework of EMIR, and of course builds on the Bank Recovery and Resolution Directive, taking of course into account the differences which exist between banks and central counterparties. First of all, which are the main actors which are involved in recovery and resolution? Well, first of all, we have the college established under EMIR, which is responsible to assess CCP's recovery plans, and it is also consulted in case the competent authority considers that the conditions for taking early intervention measures are met. Second, we have the Resolution Authority and the Resolution College. The Resolution College has a very important role to play in the preparatory phases of resolution. It is responsible for drawing up the resolution plans, for conducting the resolvability assessment, and for identifying, addressing, and removing any impediments to resolvability. Finally, we have the ESMA Resolution Committee, whose role is to prepare the decisions which are entrusted to ESMA under the proposed regulation. Recovery. Well, recovery is at the hands of the CCPs. So the CCPs draw up the recovery plans. However, these are submitted to the supervisory authorities for approval in coordination with the EMIR College. There is no explicit list of tools in the Commission proposal of which recovery tools should be used, but definitely they should not assume any public support. The recovery plans, according to the Commission proposal, should be part of the CCP's operating rules, and the clearing members should be involved in their drawing up, while at the same time ensuring transparency to their clients. Early intervention concerns supplementary supervisory powers when the CCP infringes or is likely to infringe in the near future its prudential requirements, or the competent authority considers that there are other indications of an emerging crisis which could affect the CCP. In that case, the competent authority can require the CCP to take specific steps, to change practices, or obtain information to prepare a resolution. And now let's turn to what is the biggest part also in the Commission proposal, so resolution. Which are the objectives for resolution? Well, first of all, to maintain the viability and continuity of critical functions. Second, to avoid any significant adverse effects on the financial system. And third, to protect public funds and taxpayers. Which are the conditions for resolution? First of all, the CCP must be failing or likely to fail. Who determines that? That is either the competent authority or the resolution authority. The second condition for resolution is that there must be no alternative private sector measures or early intervention measures which are able to restore the viability of the CCP within a reasonable time frame. The third key principle is that, of course, any resolution action must be in the public interest. Any resolution action must comply with some general principles which are enumerated in the Commission proposal, two of which are the pari passu principle and the no creditor worse off principle. These are very important safeguards. And what do they mean? Well, the pari passu principle means that creditors within the same class must be treated equally unless the proposed regulation explicitly provides otherwise. Whereas the no creditor worse off principle means that no creditor must be worse off in resolution than he would have been if the CCP implemented its operating rules, including the recovery plan in the case of default events, or if the CCP underwent normal insolvency proceedings in the case of non-default events. The drafting of the resolution plans is at the hands of public authorities, of the resolution authority in coordination with the resolution college. They need to provide options and scenarios for applying the different resolution tools and powers. However, the plans constitute a non-binding presumptive course of action. what this means? It means that the resolution authority has a constrained flexibility because at the time of the crisis, it is the resolution authority which decides on the resolution action. This means that in principle, it should act in accordance with the resolution plan that has been drawn up in coordination with the resolution college. However, it can deviate from it, in which case it must notify and justify itself to the resolution college. While drawing up the resolution plans, the resolution college needs to conduct a resolvability assessment. There are various issues to be considered when assessing the resolvability of a CCP. And if the resolution authority and the resolution college consider that there are impediments to resolvability, they can, as a last option, require the CCP to take specific steps, as, for example, to make changes on how the CCP collects or holds margin, or in the composition and number of its default funds. The Commission proposal provides for 4 main categories of tools. 3 of them are the same as in the BRRD, so the write-down and conversion tool, the sale of business tool, and the bridge CCP tool. We have a 4th category, which addresses the unique features of CCPs, and this is the position and loss allocation tools, which include the termination of contracts, the variation margin gains haircutting, and the resolution cash call. Which is the order of losses, the hierarchy of losses? Well, according to the Commission proposal, the resolution authority must first enforce any outstanding contractual obligations in the CCP's operating rules, including the recovery plan. However, if the resolution authority considers that the use of the resolution tools would better meet the resolution objectives, it can refrain from enforcing any outstanding contractual obligations. Second, the resolution authority will turn to shareholders, and third, it will turn to creditors. It is worth noting, and I omitted it before, that apart from these 4 categories of tools, resolution authorities have the power to use also other tools to the extent that they are compatible with the resolution objectives and the principles for resolution as enshrined in the proposed regulation. So these are some of the main features of the Commission proposal. Of course, now it is with the EU co-legislator, so with the Council and the European Parliament. And the Commission looks forward to working with both institutions in order to ensure its timely adoption. Thank you very much.